All right, hey guys, welcome to Heart Academy for Algebra 1 and Mrs. Hart's GEC class. I promised you a video helping you out with these one-step equations with fractions. Sorry for the lateness, but better late than never. So here we go. I'm just going to do 3, 4, and let's see. Well, I'll do 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, and let me see, 11 and 12. All right. So if I'm doing those, that means by tomorrow, this whole entire sheet should be completed. So here we go. Let's see. The first two are just a reminder of how to do one-step equations without fractions, right? So again, this is all about the gang war. Bam, right? Your job is to separate the b from the numbers. And so what I'm going to do here is do the opposite of what I see. If I see a +2, I'm going to subtract 2. What I do to one side of the street, I must do to the other. And now I can do my math. B minus nothing, just bring b straight down. This cancels out. 0 minus -2, -2. Let's try another simple one, which is number 2. Another plain example of a one-step equation. There's a street. Once you draw the street, you can see easier what's the number that needs to go away. Because in order to keep your letter by itself, man, I'm sorry, that's okay. Here we go. So I see a -2. Remember, always look at things as integers. It just makes it a lot easier, especially because you're in algebra. You see a -2, you do the opposite of what you see, which means a +2 or +2, however you want to say it. There you go. N drops down. That cancels out. You do the math on this side. 12 plus 2, 14. N equals 14. So the same concept applies when we're doing them with fractions. So you know you're going to be either adding or subtracting fractions this time in order to get the letter by itself. Draw your street. What number is with the letter? It's a +5/3. Again, you have to do the opposite of what you see. +5/3 means I'm going to subtract, excuse me, that was a fraction mark. I'm going to subtract 5/3. Subtract 5/3, right? And, long story short, that cancels out. A positive and a negative of the same number purposely cancels out. So I'll just bring down my v. Here's where your math problem is. -1/3 minus 5/3, okay? And again, I like to write it vertically so you can see what it looks like this way. And perhaps it'll be easier to see. And the reason why I'm writing it this way is because you got to understand that you're following integer rules, okay? So if you look on your integer rule chart, your sheet, once again, what do you do for subtraction problems? Once you're looking there, you'll realize it says step 1, change it to addition. Step 2, change the sign of the second number. In step 3, follow your addition rules. So if I follow my addition rules, I see that this is a negative plus a negative. And negative plus negative, my answer is negative. I just need to add these two together. Since they have the same bottom number, I know that the bottom number is going to stay the same. And I'm just going to add a 5 and a 1 together, which gives me a 6. Now this can reduce, and that should reduce to 3 goes into 6 2 times. Remember, it was a -2. Final answer for number 3. All right, that one wasn't so bad. Let's try the next one. And here we go. I have my street. All right, so now that I see that the n is on this side, and I need to get rid of a -2 and 1/2. So it's a -2 and 1/2, which means I'm going to add 2 and 1/2 to both sides. What I do to one side of the street, I must do to the other. There it is, right? So this time, you know that's going to cancel out. Now look at this, okay? So instead of writing it vertically, let's try to look and understand it while it's still in horizontal form. You have a negative and a positive. So basically a negative plus a positive. What do we do when we have a negative plus a positive? Look on your integer rule sheet. You'll see what happens when you have a negative plus a positive. Negative plus a positive, you must subtract to find a difference, and then keep the sign of the higher digit. So I know technically that I'm going to be subtracting these problems, okay? But again, these are unlike denominators. This is the first one with an unlike denominator. So that means I first have to find a new denominator before I can do that subtraction. And what do we do first when we're trying to find a like denominator? Will the bottom number fit into the larger number evenly? Will the smaller bottom number fit into the larger bottom number evenly? Will 2 fit into 12 evenly? If your answer is yes, all we have to use is the bigger denominator. In this case, the answer is yes, so I'm going to use the 12. And then this is the part where we do the baby kid, divide, then multiply. Divide, 2 goes into 12, 6 times, and multiply. Again, same thing with the top fractions up here. Let me just get that out of the way. 12, we're going to 12 one time. 1 times 1 is 1. And bring over the whole number. This had a negative 2 with it, remember? And so now, this is what we're going to need to do for this one. This one is a subtraction problem, right? So we're required to subtract. I have negative 2 and 1, 6. Okay? So 1 minus 6, you know it's going to be negative 5 over 12, right? Also bringing your 2. So my 2 should be right here. Okay, so remember, this is a whole big deal about remember what to do for integer rules, right? Remember order of operations, and remember how to do operations with fractions. Everything we've been studying thus far into one-step equations. Do number 4. Here we go. Oh, I did number 4. I'll do number 5. Oh, these two have the same bottom number already. There we go. Now you can tell you need to get rid of the 11 over 12 by subtracting 11 over 12 on both sides. So what happens here, that cancels out, leaving you x. And you have a negative and a negative. Remember, a negative and a negative is ghetto shopping. I'm going to show this one vertically so you can see how I realize that this is going to be a negative plus a negative. If I write it vertically, it looks like this. Right? This and this. And then if you remember your integer rules, if not, get the sheet out. I changed step 1 to a addition problem, change the sign of the second digit. Follow the addition rules is the third step. I have a negative plus a negative. I know my answer is negative because it's ghetto shopping. All I have to do now is add. Now they have the same bottom number. It's going to be pretty easy to add. I have 11 plus 11, that's a 22. A 12 plus a 12 is a 24. And I can reduce. 22 over 24. Let's reduce it back with 11. 2. Right? So 11 goes into 22 2 times. And then, I should be reducing my 2's. Excuse me. 2 goes into 22 12 times. And then, well, that's for the 24. Oh, Lord, let me do that again. Y'all know I can't do my facts. Or even let me do that. 22 divided by the 2. Oh, that one was the 11 times. That's 11 times. And then by the 24 is your 12 times, so that makes it your final answer. Negative 11 over 12. And, the video is only 8 minutes long so far. So I think I'll do one more. Or the last 2. And that way you only have to have the homework problems to worry about. Okay, so that means, remember your homework is number 6 through 10. 6 through 10, you must do in wrong. Your homework, here we go. You can see you need to get rid of the negative 1 and 11 over 14 by adding 1 and 11 over 14. Same thing on this side, adding 1 and 11 over 14. That cancels out, leaving you k. Real math is here. Look at that, a negative plus a positive. As you know, this means you're going to really subtract 2 problems, right? So I'm going to reset them up over here where it's going to be nice and neat. Negative 3, 13 over 70 plus 1, 11 over 14. Now remember, you have a positive and a negative. You're going to subtract them to keep the sign of the higher digit. But first, you need a common denominator. So that means changing this fraction to this, changing this fraction to this. Alright, so now I'm going to figure out that one question that you keep asking yourself, will the lower denominator fit into the larger denominator evenly? I don't have a slightest clue, so I'm going to try. 70 divided by 14, well, look at that, it does. So I know that this will fit evenly, so I'm going to use the larger denominator. Here we go. And 14 goes into 70. Alright, 70 divided by the 14 5 times. 11 times 5 is 55. Now, 70 will go into 70 1 times. 13 times 1 is 13. Okay? Here. Okay, good. And now, I gotta hold them in this way. Now we have, we're going to need to, oh gosh, of course it's negative. We're going to need to subtract. So I got this. Oh, I'm going to bring these whole numbers over. And this. And we're going to subtract the 2. This is a negative number. So your answer is going to be negative. 13 minus 55. Oh, 55, yeah, minus 42. 42. It's going to be negative. Keep the sign of the higher digit, remember? And a 3 is higher than 1. Bottom number, 70. Subtract. Negative 3 and a 1, you get a negative 2. This can reduce, because those are even numbers. 42 divided by 2 and 1. 42 divided by 70. Excuse me, 70 divided by 2. 70 divided by 2. 35. Looks good enough for me. And bring it over that negative 2. And all that work for that final answer. And we got one more. That's an easier way to erase that. And number 12. Here we go. Okay, so for number 12, last one I'm doing, which I got to get rid of the 2 and 3/4 by subtracting 2, I say 3/4, 3/10. Subtract 2 and 3/10. You know that this is going to cancel out, leaving you just with P. This is where your math is. Okay, so you have 3 and 4/5 minus 2 and 3/10. Okay? What we could do, I'm set it up vertically, because remember, if you're still looking at everything as an integer, if you set it vertically, you can still realize the operation to do by the subtraction steps. Step 1, change it to addition. Step 2, change the sign of the higher digit, so the second digit. Then step 3, follow your integer rules. You have a positive plus a negative. And your integer rules for positive plus a negative is you subtract, keep the sign of the higher digit. But before we can do that, you have to find a common denominator. By asking yourself, will the smaller denominator fit into the larger denominator evenly? 5 won't fit into 10 evenly, so I can just use the 10. Now we're going to multiply and divide. 10 goes into 1. 10 goes into 10 one time. 3 times 1 is 3. 5 goes into 10 2 times. 4 times 2, 8. Bring over your whole numbers. And remember, you are subtracting. So 3 minus 1, or 2, is 1. 8 minus 3 is 5 over 10. And this will reduce to 1 and 1/2. That's 2. Close enough. Alright, my friends, that is it for today. It's 6:59. I'm going home. See you tomorrow.